Tefnut is an ancient Egyptian goddess associated with moisture, rain, and water. She is part of the Heliopolitan Ennead, a group of 9 deities worshipped primarily in the ancient city of Heliopolis. Tefnut is usually depicted as a woman with the head of a lioness. She is considered one of the primordial deities and is believed to represent the concept of moisture or the watery aspects of creation. In Egyptian cosmology, it was believed that Tefnut and her twin brother Shu, the god of air, were created by the god Atum through a process of self-creation. Tefnut and Shu are also seen as the parents of Nut, the sky goddess, and Geb, the earth god. In this familial context, Tefnut's moisture was associated with the rain that nourished the earth, and her separation from Shu was believed to be the act that created the space between the sky and the earth. So, Tefnut played an essential role in the Egyptian cosmogony, representing a fundamental aspect of the natural world and the creation myth of ancient Egypt. What is Tefnut the goddess of? Though often remarked as a lunar goddess, Tefnut was most prominently an Egyptian cat goddess associated with moist air, humidity, rain, and dew. This version of her represented peace, fertility, and sprouting plants during a good harvest. Such things were, obviously, vital for the earth's growth and daily life. On the other hand, thanks to her leonine form, Tefnut was also associated with the wrathful aspect of life, including grudges and anger. In most cases, her absence amplified these traits and gave rise to hazards such as droughts, heat waves, and bad harvests. Besides sprouting plants and boiling water, Tefnut was also associated with maintaining cosmic harmony, as her ancient and divine genealogy placed her above other deities. As a result, this ancient Egyptian goddess was tasked with regulating the waters of ancient Egypt and ensuring the planet returned its bounty to the people and maintained peace throughout the country. What are Tefnut's powers? As a lioness goddess often manifesting herself in human form, the ancient Egyptians probably marveled at her divine power of controlling the earth and its waters. Tefnut could have qualified as a sky goddess, but since that position was occupied by none other than Horus and Nut, she chose to be the goddess of the rain. As a result, her most significant power is rainfall. Since most of it was wrapped by a ring of fire, thanks to the country's searing hot deserts, the rain was a revered natural gift. Tefnut brought down the rains upon Egypt whenever she wanted. This led to temporarily cooler temperatures which you would have undoubtedly enjoyed after sweating yourself to death during a sweltering Egyptian day. Most importantly, Tefnut's rainfalls contributed to the growth of the Nile Delta. The Nile River was the lifeblood of ancient Egypt. The Egyptians knew their civilization would stand the test of time as long as the Nile kept flowing. As a result, Tefnut was in charge of the life of ancient Egypt itself. Are Tefnut and Sekhmet the same? One question that is often asked is if Tefnut and Sekhmet are the same deities. Both of these goddesses were generally depicted as lionesses in the arts of ancient Egypt. Sekhmet was the Egyptian goddess of war and the defender of Ra. As a result, she was often called the daughter of Ra or even the Eye of Ra. The confusion is understandable as Tefnut was also associated with being the eye due to her being the apple of his eye. Sekhmet wields the uraeus, the upright form of a cobra, as her authoritative sigil. In contrast, Tefnut primarily bears the Ankh, which aligns her with her natural powers. However, the fun part is that both had a distinguished look in Egyptian iconography. Sekhmet was portrayed as a lioness goddess with rounded ears. At the same time, Tefnut was a lioness with pointed ears sprouting from her low flat headdress. Tefnut's appearance. Tefnut being depicted as a full human is rare, but she is portrayed in a semi-anthropomorphic form. Tefnut appears in her lion form, standing upright and wearing a low flat headdress. A solar disk is attached to the top of her head, flanked by two cobras staring in opposite directions. The solar disk is colored orange or bright red. Tefnut also wields a staff in her right hand and the ankh in her left. In some depictions, Tefnut appears as a lion-headed serpent in instances where her wrathful aspect as a goddess is underscored. In others, Tefnut is shown in a double-headed form where the other head is none other than Shu, the Egyptian god of dry wind. In general, Tefnut was also considerably associated with lionesses found on the borders of the desert. Therefore, her leonine appearance has strong roots within wild felines hailing from the scorching sands. Symbols of Tefnut. Tefnut's signs and symbols are also the ones integrated into her appearance. Lionesses were one of her symbols, as they were considered apex predators. Her wrathful personality and raging mannerisms were associated with the desert heat, where lions and their pride were found in plenty around its borders. This symbolism explores the anger-ridden side of her that came to life when the goddess of moisture stripped the people of their right to experience rainfall. In contrast, the ankh, as her symbol, represents life's vitality. This aligns with the Nile since her powers symbolize the bounties brought about by the evergreen river. The solar disk on the top of her head symbolized command and power, as she was also the Eye of Ra, dispatched to protect him against his enemies. The cobras flanking the solar disk were the Uraeus, the celestial signs of protection and defense. Since Tefnut was the goddess of moisture, bodies of fresh water and oases also symbolized her giving nature amid desert extremes. Tefnut's family. The goddess of rain has a family riddled with stars. Her father is Ra Autumn, a being formed by the sunshine from Ra and the grace of autumn. However, in some myths, her father takes on a more individual form where it is either Ra or Autumn. Though the identity of her father is disputed, one thing that remains certain is that she was born out of parthenogenesis, the process of a human egg developing without fertilization. As a result, Tefnut doesn't have a mother. What she does have, though, are tons of siblings that boost her bloodline. For instance, one of her brothers is also her twin, Shu, the Egyptian god of dry wind. Besides her husband brother Shu, she had one other brother, Anhur, the ancient Egyptian war god.